as I'm sure all of you are aware, Lil Wayne's The Carter 5 has been an album that has eluded us for a very long time. It has been delayed numerous times, and doesn't even have an official release date at this point. So this might have you wondering, is there a possibility it will never drop? Well, today we will discuss why it has been delayed so much, and then get into answering that question. This is CDTVProductions, and today we are asking, will Lil Wayne ever release The Carter 5? This project was announced way back in 2012 and was set to be Lil Wayne's last project. However, as I'm sure you all know, 2012 was 5 years ago. And since then, Lil Wayne has released 6 other projects that aren't The Carter 5. So what has happened? Why has there been numerous delays in its release? Well, for one of the first delays, Wayne announced that the album had too many tracks and that he'd be dropping the album in 2 parts. That sounded great, but then this was delayed even further, and Lil Wayne said his label, Cash Money Records, is to blame. That's where the biggest news story out of this whole thing came from. He stated that the album wasn't coming out because the label boss, Birdman, didn't want it to. And since then, Wayne has dissed Birdman and Cash Money on records that he released to hold us over till the album came out.
Cash money is an army, I'm a one-man army. And if them niggas coming for me, I'm going out like Tony.
Since then, Wayne and Birdman have just been hitting back at each other back and forth, with Lil Wayne's album release just getting pushed further and further back. However, the most recent update in this situation came in August, when Lil Wayne announced that he can release the album whenever he wants to, but he just doesn't want it to come out the wrong way.
Like, what is up with Carter 5? Will we ever see this thing?
Of course you're gonna see the Carter 5, man. I could drop whatever I want to drop. That's why I keep dropping whatever I want to drop.
Okay. So you're still curating or fine-tuning Carter 5 is kind of what you're telling us.
Oh no, Carter 5 is done. Carter 5 on the shelf, just ready to drop.
So it appears that the album is completed and ready to go. Wayne even says so himself. He says it's sitting on the shelf and ready to go. So why might it still be delayed? Well, I'm going to give you a few reasons for why I think it might not come out soon, and why it still might not for years to come.
My girl like it rough, she said find me a diamond, her body be grinding, love we be on every corner.
Well, let's just bring up the fact that even though Wayne said he can drop it anytime he wants to, there's nothing to stop it being delayed again. Who's to say the release date for it can't be pushed back even further after he announces it? There were multiple times in the past few years when fans thought this project was definitely coming out, and it didn't. It's been given definitive release dates that weren't met, and history has a habit of repeating itself. Whilst Wayne has said he can drop the album whenever he wants, Birdman definitely still has an influence over it, as he's the guy that pays Wayne. If Wayne isn't going to make any money off the music that he works hard to make, it's not exactly a fair transaction. Getting our hopes all the way up just because Wayne said he can drop a project is probably not a safe bet.
All we sell is the greatest feeling on earth. They paint me as a villain, I just autographed the artwork.
Another reason why Wayne might be hesitant to drop the next album in his Carter series is because hype may have died down for it by now. Now, I have no doubt that when this thing drops, it's gonna sell pretty damn well, but maybe Wayne has some doubts about this. I'm not saying all the hype around him is gone, but I'd say his legal battles in the past couple of years have pretty much overshadowed the mixtapes that he has dropped in people's minds. Just look at the numbers Wayne has done in the past, and it must raise some questions about if he can still keep up with those numbers. Surely with how much hip-hop has changed in the past couple of years, it must leave Wayne questioning how big the market still is for his music, and if the content of the Carter 5 is still relevant, if the music will still sound good in today's musical landscape. That's why Wayne has released mixtapes in the time being, to keep his name fresh in our mind. However, it could be also said that the opposite is true, and that all the controversy will just cause more excitement for his album. This could be why he's releasing the Dedication 6 mixtape soon. It's a good way to rebuild hype, if any has been lost, and it's another good way to gauge if fans are still interested in your music. The Dedication mixtapes are considered to be some of the best out there, so maybe if the Dedication 6 mixtape doesn't do so well, Wayne might get cold feet with releasing a new full-fledged album.
In the 6th grade, went platinum in the 10th grade, dropped out, nigga getting paid. This one Birdman had a fade, this one Hummers didn't.
The last question I want to ask relating to this debate is Lil Wayne's expectations set too high for this album? I mean, when you hear him talk about it, it sounds like he's talking about his child. He talks about how he wants it to be his perfect exit, and it sounds like he'll really accept nothing short of a classic album. And maybe it's possible that even though he says the opposite, maybe he's still working on the music from the Carter 5. Maybe he doesn't feel like the music already on it is relevant enough, or maybe he doesn't feel like it's classic enough to go out on. He wants us to love this album, he wants it to be great, and if he doesn't think it's going to be, maybe he's secretly working on making more music to put on that album in the meantime, pushing its release date further and further back. The landscape of music is always changing, and Wayne has the pressure of making an album that is technically 4 years old sound new. Actually, it kinda reminds me of someone else in hip-hop. Of course, I am referring to Dr. Dre and his Detox album. We were told for like 11 years that this was going to come out, but Dre was such a perfectionist that he never felt it sounded good enough. In the end, Dre just scrapped the album and released Compton instead. What if Wayne does the same thing? It's much less likely in Wayne's case because The Carter is a long-standing series of albums for him, but it could still be a huge contributing factor as to why he hasn't put it out yet. Maybe his expectations for the album are just too high.
It's a cold world, I stay warm inside her. Make her perspire, sweat, blood, and crying. Goodness gracious.
So that's how I feel about the situation. The question itself is kinda hard to answer, seeing as Wayne and only Wayne knows when he can actually put the album out, but I just gave my reasons as to why I think it was delayed, and why it may still be delayed for years to come. So what do you guys think? Is the 5th entry of the Carter series really coming soon? Is it gonna come out at all? Will it just be scrapped completely? And do you think the reasons I gave in this video are the reasons why it's been delayed? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't seen any of the videos on this channel before. And this is CDTVProductions, signing out.